Hello, boys and girls. Sorry, I'm multitasking here. Lobster Lawrence McElroy for Water Tiger School of Tai Chi Chuan in our 28th, count them, 28th Monday, 10 a.m. Water Tiger for Sachem broadcasts. Wow. How'd that happen? So, hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody had a better week last week than I did. Last Monday I announced we were doing an 8-day suspension of our in-person classes in the studio, and I'm pleased to announce that that should be lifted as today unfolds. That's the plan. That's the intent. I just have to make it official. Again, no one was infected, just seeking to err on the side of caution. Somebody probably just thought, didn't he just pronounce that wrong? I think it's very funny that, you know, a popular adage is to err is human, but it's not err, it's err. So anyway, you know, I would rather have, you know, go overboard on keeping my people protected and have it be more than I really needed than having it not be enough. So there we go. We should start tomorrow. The 6 a.m. studio class is still going to be remote because all the regular students, for personal reasons, travel, that sort of thing, are doing so remotely. And other commitments, not really travel. It's not really true. It's not right. But we'll be in the studio for our off-schedule class on Tuesday night, and then the regular schedule, and those regular classes begin on Thursday. So there's that, and that's out of the way. Not much else going on. Today, what we're going to do is another part of our sort of Variety is the Spice of Tai Chi series. This is a floor exercise after a warm-up. We're going to do a floor exercise that we call Tai Chi Walk Improv. We'll explain that, you know, what that means as we get to it. I will say, especially if you don't have, you know, like a handful of postures that you can play, then you might want to go back and check out the May 11th Water Tiger for Sachem live session that's still on this Facebook page. And that one has also been uploaded to our YouTube channel. The May 11th session for Sachem was on Tai Chi Flying. So it's using the Tai Chi walk and with something that's not a posture. And then also June 22nd, 27th, sorry, 22nd. Again, for Sachem, because by that time, West Babylon wasn't doing the live sessions, is Tai Chi Walk, Rotate the Ball. So you've probably seen us many times do the ball rotation in rails from time to time during these live sessions, but that was the Tai Chi Walk with the rotating the ball. I'm going to review both of those today, but both of those sessions focus on those particular things, and it will help you be able to do this exercise if you don't have a handful of postures. So there's that. I think I'm still alone at this point. But, you know, a lot of people tend to tune in after these things are over. Not sure why I'm still doing them live, but we are. So our warm-up today, let me set this over there, is a little something from the standing 8 Pieces of Brocade. Now, somebody here might be saying, you know, if they've done the 8 Pieces of Brocade before, it's like, wait a second, Lawrence, standing 8 Pieces of Brocade is an external set. You have to do all of them. You have to do them in order, or you're going to disrupt the chi flow. And it's like, well, Water Tiger School's approach is a blended approach, both fire and water. We use both the external, the movement is important, the physical position is important, but we also include that internal aspect of paying attention to what's going on, imaging as you're doing it, thinking about the expansion and compression of chi, what's being activated, that sort of thing. And in that way, we are fine pulling out individual pieces. This is going to be bend and hold the bubbling well. Let's start with a little shake. So bend and hold the bubbling well is a forward fold, a version of a forward fold. And ideally, for those of you who are, in the know, you probably already figured out bend and hold the bubbling well. That means he wants me to grab a hold of the balls of my feet. I can't bloody well do that. Well, you don't have to. And we'll talk about that before we do the exercise. Just loosening up. Let's do some floppy arm twists. Breathing, relaxing, releasing. Some people call these helicopter arms. It's the first half of turn and circle for water tiger school folk. I just want to get a little separation between the upper body and lower body so we warm up the abdomens and the lower back a little bit for the forward fold. Maybe we'll just do this for about 45 minutes and call it a day. Never mind the whole Tai Chi walk improv thing. So, yes, we are supposed to grab a hold of the balls of the feet. I'm going to turn sideways. Knees are open. We're actually inside of shoulder width. This is still just, I'm talking about it. Don't follow along yet. We're inside of shoulder width. A comfortable amount. You just don't want to be shoulder wide. That changes the structure of the body, so it changes the way the body's compressing and releasing. And, we have an arm position. We go up, and when we come down, ideally we reach. I move the toes out of the way, and I can come over the toes. I can roll to the outside of the instep if I need that to get to the balls of the feet. And then there's a little pull, and I should really just be letting the head hang. But as I said, not everybody can get that far for a lot of different reasons. You have belly issues, you have lower back issues, you have hip issues, you have heart issues, you have lung issues. Maybe your physician has told you, don't lower your heart or don't lower your chest below your hips. So what you do in that instance, in this exercise, is go down as far as you can, the up and the fold down. Lift the toes as if you're going to go ahead and reach over them. And then imagine, I don't know if you can see this or not with the black mat and everything I'm finding in place, and hook your hands like this in the air over them. I'm going to stay up here so you can see. And then feel the balls of your feet. Oh, that tickles. And then give yourself an isometric pull in this position. And then release. So if you can reach the toes and actually do that pull, then go ahead and do that. If you can't, go as far down and find my spot again where you can see. Find that spot, lift the toes, curl your fingers, imagine that they're underneath the balls of the feet, and give yourself that little isometric pull and feel that, and release and come up. That's all it takes. By the way, we had somebody in this particular program, in the Sachem Public Library program, many moons ago, Angela. I'm not going to say her last name. And Angela told me when she was doing that, she had to be careful with that isometric pull because she almost pulled a back muscle just imagining that she was doing the pull. One more cueing there at this point. And that's that if you are here, it needs to be a pull. Some people will lengthen their knees with their arms fully extended. And what that does is, yes, you sort of create a activation that's similar to a pull, but it's not a pull. You want the pull. You don't want that lift that's going to work in the legs more and in the lower back and torso. And we want it in the upper torso and more in the front than in the back. So there's your cueing for how to modify. Breathe, relax, release. I'm going to get another drink. I saw some people pop in and they immediately left. Interesting. So we need to know hand positions, cuts, relax slightly in fingertips toward the center line. We also need to know, or at least recognize, small circulation, which is the circle that turns in the torso. Some people do it backwards, going back, up over them, down the back, and up the front. Our general rule, though we reverse it from time to time, is up the back, down the front. Regardless, the yin conception vessel starts at the bottom of the mouth and moves on the center line, down through the Zhang Dantian acupuncture point, down through the belly button, down through the Xia Dantian acupuncture point, the lower field of elixir, middle, that's the Zhang, down, pubic bone, Hu Yin, bottom of the C, perineum, up between the cheeks. Now, some people have the yin conception vessel ending at the perineum. We don't. Some people have it ending at the Ming Men. We don't. We have it ending between the Ming Men and the anal cleft, just a little bit above the glutes. That's where our point ends. When the yin conception vessel ends, the yang governing vessel begins. It raises up over, again, the center line over the spine, coming up over the top of the head, the Bakwei point, the 100 convergences, down the front, more or less through the Shang Dantian, the upper field of elixir acupuncture point, and ends on the roof of the mouth. That's why one of the reasons we have the tip of the tongue lightly touching the roof of the mouth. That acupuncture point 2, or that point 2, varies from perspective to perspective. Ours is right behind the front teeth, so more in the hard palate. Some people put it in the soft palate. For way back there, it's a little tough to do and creates tension in the mouth that water-tighter feels would actually interrupt the flow of the qi. So you have to keep in mind that. Just remember that that's there, that this is the yin conception vessel. This is the yang governing vessel, because I'm going to make references to it as we do this forward fold. So the feet are inside of shoulder width. Now, a lot of people start this and it's more or less in front of the Zhang Dantian. We have the hands up higher, sort of even with the chest. But again, palms are tilted slightly up, and wrist flexibility will probably send it back toward you. So it's a little bit like radar, sort of, except we don't have our head up like he would, setting himself outside the colonel's tent. So this is the position. Breathe when you have to. Start with that image of the qi compressing to the Xia Dantian, the lower field of elixir, not the acupuncture point, but the actual esoteric vessel. The first expansion begins, arcing the spine, looking up between the hands and feeling that extension in the yin conception vessel and the compression in the yang governing vessel. Because of the arc, the back is compressing. Because of the arc, the front, the chest, the abdomen, the solar plexus are all expanding. And then the next compression of the qi begins. To begin your forward fold, back is basically straight to begin with, a little wide here. And then collapse into it, either in real life or in CGI, in our imagination. Grab a hold of the balls of the feet. This is the next expansion of the qi. Now feel the compression that is created in the yin conception vessel. Extension, expansion, physical expansion is created in the yang governing vessel. Release, breathing when we have to. And the next compression, the next return of the qi to the Xia Dantian. As you roll up out of it, back to that palms up, slightly up position. There's one. We're only going to do 3. Next expansion, again, extension, expansion of the chest, the yin conception vessel, compression of the yang governing vessel. And by the way, I'm talking about the physical sort of massage that's going on in these two, using the same words that I use to describe what happens to the qi. It's returning to the Xia Dantian. Now it's opening up from the Xia Dantian again. Like a flower, going to the extremities as the yin conception vessel is physically compressed and the yang governing vessel is physically expanded. There's 2, release. Rolling up, out. 2 of 3. Coming back up, expanding again, the qi, while physically expanding the conception vessel and physically compressing the governing vessel. Sorry, I got stuck in the feeling there for a moment. Last fold. What we have found at Water Tiger School is the standing 8 piece of brocade, though the entire body obviously always involved, really focuses on different ways of internally massaging and stirring the triple burner, the Sanjio, the torso. That's the last one released. She was returning to the Shia Dantian. Head basically hanging as it can, based on the individual. Some of you may have to put a little activation in there because otherwise there's too much pressure on the neck. Rising up, getting to that starting position, what we refer to as third position. Wrist rotate, palm slope down. Now here's a little cueing here, just generally, right? I can feel that I need to straighten my shirt. I have not closed yet. My hands are still sort of settling from the work that they've just done. So I'm going to live with the fact that my shirt feels a little odd. Feet are closer together than shoulder wide, up over the top of the ball. Bring that left foot in, so it feels a little bit different to close with the feet closer together. And our usual resettling, either up or down, pulls the hands into the Shia Dantian. So that last thing about which I was talking, we're normally shoulder wide. So the body is accustomed to moving that left foot in over a distance. And sometimes, for some people, because the feet are closer together, their body starts to do what it always does instead of the mindfulness. And the left foot tries to move, cover more distance than it normally does. The body prepares to bring it in farther than it really has to, and they'll fall to the right. So you have to be mindful of that narrow foot closing, that things are different. So it's also good training in mindfulness. So, Tai Chi Walk Improv. The idea of Tai Chi Walk Improv, by the way, Water Tiger School did a whole series of posts on Tai Chi Walk Improv last week. There were at least 3 of them. And it involves our basic Tai Chi walk, which is what we refer to at Water Tiger School as the 5 count. So there are some things you need to know here. You need to know the back foot should be around a 45-degree angle. Yes, ideally it should be a 45-degree angle, but not everybody can do that. So we're happy if it can be at a 45-degree angle. We're equally happy if it needs to be angled out a little bit. It's there. Front foot, toes are forward. Notice both heels on these blue lines. That's my shoulder width. My heels are determined where my shoulder width is. My shoulder width is determined, is kept by where my heels are, not where the balls of my feet are. I think I just completely messed that up. It is English, everybody. Toes straight forward on the front foot or angled in, so sort of moving the same direction as the back foot. Where you don't want the front foot at this point of the stance is pointed out and away from you. You're going to rotate the hips. Careful when you rotate the hips that you're not just swinging the knees one direction or the other, but you're setting down in the legs. Now on the front leg, left or right, I'm in a left fore stance because my left foot is forward. Other people have a different definition. Left knee is over the ankle is safest, over the top of the foot is okay. Once I start to get over or beyond the toes, that's too far. Puts a strain on the knee that you don't want. Hips are square, shoulders are square. Not everybody does that in this kind of stance. Water Tiger does. That's why it has to be shoulder wide. So you can sit down in the bowl that's created by the lower pelvic bowl and the hips, right? And have my shoulders going right out to the left and the right, my hips going right out to the left and the right, and all is well with the world. About 70% of the weight's on the front leg, about 30% of the weight's on the back. It can be, a little bit lighter in the front, a little bit heavier in the back, a little bit heavier in front, a little bit lighter in the back, but 70-30 is ideal. So to move in this position, we got to set the weight into the back leg. Be careful of that knee, that it continues to point the direction of the back toes. Again, you don't want to swing. The knees aren't made to swing sideways like old-fashioned saloon doors. Sit down into that leg. Release the ball of the front foot. And I'm going to open up the quad like the pages of a book. And those left toes go out to the 45. But Lawrence, didn't you just say the front foot wasn't supposed to go out to an angle? When I'm in this position, yes. Here, it's different. The quads open, the knees are both oriented toward the toes, and we're cool, right? If I had that foot there and I was trying to go forward, that's a whole different story. Then I settle the weight into that foot. I can bring that foot in or simply move it forward. And all of that was sort of a 5 count. We didn't really do 1 because 1 is the step. And notice, though I'm looking toward my device, my body orientation is the same as my back foot to the 45. That's 1. 2 is I move forward into the stance. Knee over ankle, knee over top of the foot, 70-30, back foot's around a 45. Both feet flat. 3, I rock back and release. Ball of the foot comes up off the ground. 4, quad, groin, hips open up like the pages of a book. That foot's now around the 45, the right. And 5, I come in. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, no 3, 4, and 5 because I'm going to close on that step. So that's our basic Tai Chi walk at Water Tiger School. Now, the thing that I mentioned, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this I'll do it in the order that they were originally presented. So the first one was Tai Chi Flying. What was that date? Back on May 11th for Sachem. And it's a little tough to tie in the 5 count. But 1, see my arms are crossed and I don't designate which arm in front when I step. 2, I open up like wings, about shoulder height, elbows are dropped, shoulders are dropped, sunken, elbows are sunken, little flappy ends of hands and wrists. 3, rock back, arms drop. 4, they cross. And 5, they start to rise for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into 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 1, just 2, there's Tai Chi Flying, and close. Notice I'm always closing with the right foot forward because my first step is to the left. And that closing is important too. You want to make it through the whole body. So you take that last step and notice everything is sort of together. I'm filling that. I'm moving now 100% of my weight into my right foot. I'm dropping my hands. I'm letting them sort of be both puppeteer, and my leg is the puppet, bringing in that leg, setting my hands on the ball, putting the ball of the foot down as the hands start to roll in closer to me, pressing the heel down. Now I can lengthen here, so I'm lengthening in my legs as I press down and press that heel down. And then a final settling pulls my hands into my belly. I can also do pretty much the same thing, bring the foot in, but settle the heel by sinking my body down and rise up out of it. If part of me moves, all of me moves. If part of me is still, all of me is still. The practical version of that particular principle is just that. I don't want to go take that last step and then have everything separate. So that was Tai Chi Flying. rotating the ball, again, I'm sort of building the groundwork for someone who may not have a lot of postures. It'll make sense as we get to the point. So in rotating the ball, my ball, weights on the right foot. Notice the ball's the size of my torso. It's going to stay there as I move through this pattern. Again, matching the 5 count. Stepping as I have the ball. 2, centered palm to palm. 3, rocking back a little bit the way I came, so the right hand sort of going to the top of the ball, left hand sort of going to the bottom of the ball. Pivot, starting to pivoting through, and then that was 4. And here's 5 into 1, 2, 3, 4, 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 5 into 1, 2, and again, I'm at the end of my run. Boom. So there's rotating the ball. So we have, at this point, you have the Tai Chi walk, just a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have Tai Chi Flying, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have rotating the ball, 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5. Tai Chi Flying, 2, 3, 4. Rotating the ball, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. And what I just did in that pass was combine the 3 separate things, just switching back and forth between the 2 with no pattern. I just held up 4 fingers. That is Tai Chi Walk Improv. So if you have no postures, you can do that. You can add, every once in a while in a Water Tiger School program, when we're introducing somebody to the Tai Chi Walk for the first time, I'll say, do a wave with one hand, and maybe poke somebody or point to somebody with the other hand, and then, maybe back fist somebody as you tell them to stop. And just go back and forth, and maybe double wave with 2 people. And I normally suggest, repeating the same kind of movement from one side to the other. But you can add those kind of movements to this as well if you have no postures. If you have postures, however, the Tai Chi Walk Improv becomes whatever. The idea here is not to repeat to the right what you just did to the left. Not to fall into a pattern. One of the posts on the Water Tiger School, elsewhere on this page last week, was about, maybe parting wild horses. I mean, that's sort of our go-to posture during this series. Whenever we wanted to make a point about something, I would always do starts the same place as rotating the ball and ends here. And if every time you're moving through and getting stuck, it's like, oh, I don't know what to do next. My hands are in the wrong position for what popped into my head. It's Tai Chi Walk Improv. There is no wrong position. The idea, the concept, again, is simply to find the way in a Tai Chi-like fashion, not to get caught up, not to be tense, not to force anything. Feel the body, maintain the intent, swimming in air, and still play through. So you don't sit down and map out the way that you're going to play Tai Chi Improv. It doesn't work that way. Your general sort of what you're pulling out of your hat to improv is the postures that you know. Another post from last week on this particular exercise was about every time you finish a posture, it's like all of a sudden, you've thrown pot on clay on the potter's wheel. You get to the posture and at the end of posture, as you release that posture, all of a sudden all you have is a clump of clay again. So each step becomes the new pot that you then rethrow once you complete the posture. We like to keep things in one direction. So even if you're going to throw in, you know, something that would include a backwards movement, based on, you know, the way that you play a particular posture, repulse the monkey, you still want to, if I'm starting and I'm playing toward the north, this is more or less what I'm doing right now with where my, how I have my little remote studio set up. It's actually my exercise space, but it became dual. It has a dual identity since, I don't know, March, for some unknown reason. But I want to keep going that way. So, you know, for instance, if I want to switch from Party in the Wild Horse's mane to repulse the monkey, I need to be able to flow from, you know, let's say in Party in the Wild Horse's mane, no, that will take me off the mat. I need to be in this one, Party in the Wild Horse's mane, and I want to switch to repulse the monkey, then I have to find a way to do it. It's better than that, because that was in my head because I was thinking about doing it. I did an in shoulder wide, and, you know, better position or better positioning would have been, and it's still wrong. No, that's right. Sorry. See, I'm in my head now. I probably won't be able to do anything getting into repulse the monkey. Let me show you what I mean. Pulling some postures from the 24. I'd like to go back and edit this, but this was live. So I won't be able to. So you start with whatever it is you want to start, you know, however it is that you want to start. And, you know, also, you know, we know white brush knee, for instance, brush knee follows white crane. So some people think, oh, it's improv because I did brush knee and then I did white crane, but, you know, then I'm going to do, you know, Party in the Wild Horse's mane, or maybe I'm going to do a version of press, or maybe I'm going to do a version of push, or maybe I'm going to do another Party in the Wild Horse's mane. You don't want to put two things together in the way that they are in the form. I hope that makes sense. Probably not my best live session. Like I said, it's been a week. So I'm going to start, you know, sorry, I'm in my head again. What do I want to start with? I don't know. I'm going to start with Party Models. Boom. So, you know, really, without thinking, finding that way through, that was a little rough. And I can throw in the same posture, the same exercises that I did before. And letting it go here. And just go from posture to posture. You know, I ended up doing a version of parry and punch. Can't remember what that came out of. I think it was it a version of single whip? Yeah, I think it was a version of single whip that wasn't too good. But I ended up doing parry and punch to the opposite side. So this too, you know, you have to be a little bit well-versed in being able to play postures we normally play only to one side, to both sides. So I might be, you know, for instance, in ward off, and it's like, oh, I want to do white crane to this side of my body. And then, I don't know, Fair Lady Weaves at Shuttles. And then, I don't know, the version of single whip. And then, I don't know, push, you know, whatever comes to mind. Parry and punch. That's my left foot, so I'm out of balance, but apparently I am simply just out of balance. Just play. Let it go. You know, if you get stuck with something, you know, if you're playing Tai Chi Walk Improv and you're in a particular position, it's like, no, I couldn't possibly do that posture, you know, the posture that popped into my head. You know, you finish your floor exercise, you finish your pass, you write a little note, You just keep it in the back of your head. And you go back and drill that moment. And it's like, how can I not make that next posture fit this moment, but how can I allow that posture to appear out of where I am currently? So for instance, I'm going to go back and play with Repulse the Monkey. And I'm here. And I want to do Repulse the Monkey. You know, and let's see, how can I do that and have it make sense? That was wrong too. So I'm in my head and I'm thinking through. So let's say I was in this stance. Right? Yeah. So does it work better coming out of that leg? My arms are wrong. And that's, you recognize, it's like, oh, my arms are in the wrong spot. So if I'm here, I'm going to use this leg, and I'm stepping that foot back. I have to do that switch. The stepping leg is the hand that matches. So I'm in this position. I'm going to turn, and I'm going to have that switch. And now, oops. See? Got to work it out. Boom. Here. Boom. Oops. See, I'm still doing it. Oh, it worked. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Right? You get out of your head. You let go of trying to work it through. Yes, I set you up on that one. Let the body do it. The feet are the guide. As soon as you think you're doing single whip, you have to remember, okay, I'm doing single whip, I'm not going to step shoulder wide. Okay, that means, if I'm moving into Parting Wild Horses mane, I'm going to be shoulder wide. If I'm going to turn and do Repulse the Monkey, I have to remember that, boom, oops, that's not Repulse the Monkey. See, I can't do Repulse the Monkey today. It's a bad Repulse the Monkey day. Wow. So regardless of all my fails this morning, hopefully you understood the exercise. It's bugging me now. You just play. You just have fun. You don't let it bug you. You don't let it get to you. Just go from, whatever it is you're doing. You do that next thing. And then, maybe throw in something else. Maybe even the hello and the points. And then push. Brush, knee, step, and strike. All of a sudden, you're doing a white crane. All of a sudden, it's a wave hands like clouds and going back the other direction. And you're doing another single whip. And then you're doing, oops, I did another single whip. And then maybe it's a Repulse the Monkey. Not a Repulse the Monkey, sorry. The snake creeps down. And then it's a push. And you just go. Tai Chi walk, Tai Chi flying, another Tai Chi walk, a little rotating the ball, a little Tai Chi flying, a little Tai Chi walk. If that's what you have, just those three, do that. If you have Parting the Wild Horses, you're working on, you're playing your way through the 24, you have Parting the Wild Horses mane, you have White Crane, you have Brush Knee, you have Pei Paw. How can you shuffle them to work? If you have the form, you got a wide open, plus, the three just basic walking exercises. Some people have asked, can you throw in walking the rails? And it's like, if you can find a way to make it makes, have it makes, not make it make sense, have it make sense, but there really isn't, because the foot pattern is so different, and can be a little bit dangerous on people's knees. So I don't suggest that. Somebody else, who has experience in the 5 animal frolics, we present a moving version at Water Tiger School. Can I bring in the 5 animal frolics? Like, well, that's Qigong, then that's not really the Tai Chi walk improv. If you were to throw in the animal frolic. So that sort of goes against the grain of this exercise. And by the way, at first, the changing directions thing did pretty well with Snake Creeps Down. Some reason, Repulse the Monkey, I don't know. I got nothing. Going backwards can be an issue for folks. A good transitional posture, by the way, as opposed to like forcing it to always come out of Parting Wild Horses mane. If you go into a wave hands like clouds, then a lot of times it's a lot easier to get that idea of going into the next posture out of wave hands like clouds. It's a good transitional pause, good transitional posture. But eventually, it shouldn't matter what the posture is. You allow the body to find the way through. But where that was going, by the way, is you finish your pass in one direction, and maybe you get to the end, and instead of, what I did was I went back with wave hands like clouds. You get to the end, and it's like, okay, now I'm going to do Repulse the Monkey, and then I'm going to bring that foot around, and now I'm going the other direction. So you save your backward postures to change the direction at the wall. Just an idea. Maybe I should do that for a while. So Tai Chi Walk Improv, have fun, embrace your mistakes. I certainly did this morning. I wonder if maybe perhaps there was a lesson in that. And keep in mind, a little bit deeper drill into Tai Chi Flying and Tai Chi Walk, rotating the ball, do exist. May 11th for Sachem on the live section of this Facebook page. Plus that session is also up on our YouTube channel. We downloaded it a few weeks ago. Couple weeks ago. Well, maybe 4 weeks ago. I don't know. Excuse me. And the other one is June 22nd, Tai Chi Walk, rotating the ball. And it's a deeper drill than I gave today, so a little bit in depth. And any of these earlier processes, if you go back through and thumb through them, you can find even a longer version of just teaching the Tai Chi Walk. But both of those will have a longer version of teaching the Tai Chi Walk as well. I sort of took for granted that a lot of folks who are tuning in have been doing these sessions for a while. And I wanted to present something that was a little bit harder. So there you go. Have fun. Play with it. Don't worry about it. Don't fret when you make an error. The error, and by the way, that's why people think, to err is human, because the word error, but it's really to err is human. And don't let the errors get in your way. It's part. That's where opportunity lies. Where you make the mistakes, that's where opportunity lies. And we'll be back next week, as far as we know. Again at 10 a.m. With something, I don't know, else. I hope you enjoyed it. I was, Tai Chi and entertaining, I guess, today. And I promise I will do my best to be better on my game next week. But I don't know, was I on my game? Was I off my game? Or was that maybe seeking to show you something? I don't know. I'm not going to tell. I was an actor, Be well, everybody. Stay safe. Wear your mask. Please. So keep physically distant when you can. Cut down on the number of your personal contacts. Because people get sick otherwise, including members of my family. So take care, be safe. Well, I won't see you next time. You'll see me.